Hey everyone, PKFT1 here. I'm here again, guys. I know I just posted a video yesterday, but this will make up for all the weeks I've missed. So if you guys haven't heard already, we just had a pretty big announcement for the 25th anniversary for Persona. It feels like it's been a long time coming now, and we finally got the announcement. So I'm here with Blur once again to discuss the Persona 25th anniversary. We did a video quite a while back. I don't even remember what we talked about, but we talked about like the potentials of 25th anniversary. Do you remember anything we even brought up in that?
I think we talked about, because it was around the time when it was like everyone was boosting like a Persona 3 remake on like Twitter, like it got trending. So I think we talked about how that would be cool if it happened. I don't know if I necessarily believe that anymore, but
yeah,
I know we talked about that a little bit, that may be happening. And I think we talked about maybe an arena game.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys don't know, there has been a website that's been posted. I'm sure most of you have heard about this by now. I think it happened last night. I was in bed when this happened, probably asleep. But the website is specifically for the 25th anniversary, and it specifically highlights all the games. It has pictures of all the protagonists. In fact, maybe I can just pull it up here. So I'm just going to pull up, I think this is the official website here. So you can see there's new portraits of all the characters, even the P1 and P2 protagonists, both Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment. We even have FemC here. So it seems like they're really going the full way of representing everybody. We've got all colors represented here. And a lot of people are speculating about the little white section of the logo. I don't think that necessarily means anything. I mean, the rest of the logo is black and white, so I think it's just fitting in with that aesthetic. But anyhow,
on hinting that it was left white, that maybe like it's just a theory because no one knows.
Right.
But they're like, maybe they're leaving it white to be filled in later for whatever color they choose. But
yeah.
Do you remember this was back in? Okay, so this was before like Royal and Strikers got announced. So this was like
2018, 2019, or early.
Yeah, I think it was 2019. I remember like we were reading an interview and they were talking about possible colors because I know they mentioned pink and they mentioned pearl, but that was so long ago and I don't know if they're actually going with that.
Yeah. Which is funny because there was like this article I came across today, and I apologize that I don't have the link to it. I might link it in the description. And there was talk about Persona 6, and we're going to talk more about this later, but they made it sound like it was still in like really early phases of development, which isn't necessarily surprising. Maybe it was just the way it was translated. It made it sound like that. Because it sounded like they were still almost conceptualizing it, because they were talking about how, like, you know, oh, we have a lot of stress on us because we got to make it better than P5. Like, P5, you know, had a lot riding on it to be better than P4. And it sounded like they were still kind of in the planning phases, but I don't know. I could be completely wrong on that. But anyhow, let's get into this. So here's a rough translation from the website. It just says, in 2021, the Persona series exceeded the cumulative sales of 15 million units. We would like to express our sincere gratitude and gratitude to all those who watched over and supported us for a long time. And in September, with the Persona series, it says the Persona series will finally celebrate its 25th anniversary. With gratitude to all of you, we are preparing a lot of fun for the Persona 25th anniversary year. For about 1 year from September 2021 to autumn 2022 next year. We will announce various anniversaries. I don't think that's a proper translation. Let me go to the... Let's look at the Persona Central one here. It says... Numerous preparations are being made, such as commemorative merchandise, various events, collaborations, and of course, game information. Both Atlas Japan and Atlas West say to please look forward to it. Among the announcements, 7 different Persona 25th anniversary projects are set to be announced according to the special teaser website starting in September 2021. So we were right about our speculation. I don't remember if we talked about this in the first video, but I know you and I have had multiple conversations where we assumed September would be where we first heard about this. But I'm glad that we're finally getting some actual information on the anniversary, even if it doesn't bring a specific announcement with it. So that said, what do you think about 7 projects?
Actually surprised, like, I would have expected to be like, you're getting, like, one thing. Like, we were talking, just ourselves talking about, like, when there might possibly be another concert, since that's normally when they make announcements, and we're like, there'll probably be, like, one in-game announcement. And we were debating if it would be, Arena. Maybe they go back and touch one of the older games because it's an anniversary, or if they just go straight to Persona 6. So I was thinking it would be like something one of those, but now that they said 7, but projects, like you said earlier, is a very broad term, so I don't think it means games at all.
Yeah. I mean, games are obviously included in that umbrella, but I think the fact that they're using projects, I'm pretty sure they've used language like that in the past, and I think you could be including things such as anime, or maybe a movie, or maybe a concert could be in there. I think that's completely and totally possible. So I would give at least like 2 or 3 of these slots to something that isn't even necessarily a game. Things that would be large enough to announce in one of these slots. So I think like a concert would be, if there was like a royal anime they were doing, I think you could fill in a slot with that.
I could see them doing animation, like a few episodes, sort of what they did with Golden, except with Royal, like maybe just all the 3rd semester.
Right, filling in maybe some of the gaps of
happening.
Kasumi and Maruki.
What if they did a Strikers animation?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But you're right, they totally could do a Strikers animation. Oh, I don't know if I'd necessarily want that or not. Because it's like, I don't know, like, as a game, sure, but I feel like when you watch something, you're going into it for, like, I mean, anime is anime, so it would basically just be Beach Episode the anime. So that's fine. They could totally do it, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it, but I don't even think I watched the P5 anime because there was no reason for me to, you know? It just, I already knew it. I didn't have any reason to watch.
I think that's how most people actually went about it.
Yeah. Like, the dub was interesting when it got announced, and I watched clips from that, and that was funny. But I didn't really have any interest in the anime, which, interestingly enough, I kind of like the Persona 3 movies, but I think that's because...
Yeah, the Persona 3 ones are nice.
I don't know, maybe it's easier to digest that quickly as opposed to having to watch a full anime of something you already know. I don't know. But I fully expect one of these probably to have something to do with an anime, whether it's Strikers or Royal. Who knows, maybe there's even 2 slots that are P5 anime.
There is still that, file that people saw a while ago that they re-registered.
Oh, right, P5U, because that got re-registered, which everybody suspects could be P5 Ultimax or Arena. What do you think? I'm curious.
I think it's still possible. I don't know if they got the same company to do it, because you said that they were doing so many other projects.
Right.
I mean, maybe they could, and they're just really keeping it quiet.
Arc System Works is essentially broken up into 2 teams, I believe. I believe there's a Team Red and a Team Blue. One of them, I think, develops like Guilty Gear, and then the other usually will develop Blaze Blue and or their other projects. So I think Red Team is obviously still working on Guilty Gear Strive. It just came out. And then you have Team Blue, which has been working... I guess they're working on DNF Duel, which got announced last year or so. I think it was last year. But we haven't seen anything about that. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have another project maybe in the background they've been working on quietly. Because the thing is, Arc System Works wouldn't be the one to announce Persona Arena. It would come through Atlas, because they're the publisher. So it stands to reason that maybe there has been a project in the background. I'm not exactly sure what Team Red is working on after Strive. I don't know. Maybe they are working on P5 Arena. Or like you said, maybe it's another company. Maybe they decided to go to a different studio this time. I mean, that's totally possible. But we'll see. I mean, they have been still seeming to do third-party stuff with things like Dragon Ball, again, DNF Duel, and then they're all Arc System Works is also doing. They just did that one mobile game, Grand Blue Fantasy. They did a fighter for that one, so it seems like it would be about time for them to announce maybe another third-party fighting game. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know a whole lot about Arc System Works. That's kind of my rough knowledge of what they've been working on. So I think it is possible, especially with 7 slots. It seems like Atlas has a lot they want to announce that would be larger scale.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what all would fit in 7 slots, because if we look at, like, some of the art that they showed...
Right.
On the, website, like, they had all the protagonists, like, trading cards, and there's a blank slot, which I assume will be for Persona 6.
Right, let's talk about this. So, yeah, this might be something you guys don't know. Okay, so, yeah. So, explain that again, Blur.
So they released a bunch of, like, merchandise you can buy, and it's only the protagonists, which is interesting. Like, it's not any of the other characters, just the protagonists of all the games.
And it's every single character. It's not like we're missing one.
Yeah. It has Femc, it has, 1 and 2 ones, all new art for them, which is cool for fans of those games. Mm-hmm. And then they have a blank slot. Like, it's there, but it's hidden. And so you can assume it's like, okay, that's probably for the protagonist of Persona 6.
Right. Which I didn't actually realize this until later in my day. I was at work and on break and I was looking at this because I had seen... Well, I'll talk about that right after this. But yeah, it seems like there's definitely a slot here specifically referring to a protagonist. I don't know what else it would be unless it's like a group picture. But why would you keep that secret? You already have your group images for it. There's no reason to keep this secret unless it's tied to an announcement. So Persona 6, like that, it seems incredibly imminent, and that seems wild to think by next year, you know, autumn 2022, we will be able to, assuming our theory is correct, which I'm sure it is, we're going to know who the next protagonist is and what their design's going to look like, and I assume what color... the game is going, the theme is going to have, and also it's going to have the school emblem, because all of these have their school emblem behind them, so we'll maybe get to see what their school is. So, I don't know, any theories on Persona 6 while we're talking about it?
Oh man, I have no idea. I wonder if they'll just like... So since now they've started using, like, real-world places, I mean, they could go back to making up their own places, since they used Tokyo, but maybe they could pick, like, another city in Japan somewhere,
right.
Like, if they wanted to do that, or maybe they'll go small-scale again, kind of like the countryside, like they did with Persona 4. Or maybe they'll do something completely different and, like, not even be in Japan, because I know they talked about that for Persona 5 at first, when they were first coming up with the idea of it.
That would be wild. I think, I mean, to me it seems like for sure it'll probably still be in Japan, but I think you're right that maybe they'll go and try to do something a little different with maybe a smaller town, or at least on another side of the country. I think it would be cool to do something like, like a smaller town that's like on the coast. So you could do something, whether it's what's the name of the town? Like you could do Hiroshima or something. That could be a really cool area to place the story in. That's quieter, but also by the coast, so you could have more of a beachy theme. I don't know. I'm just speaking out of my butt here, but I do think doing something a little different could be fun.
What it could possibly be.
Yeah. I don't know, because, I mean, Persona 4 really does stick out in that sense. And I feel like maybe that's something they'd want to go back and explore again. Or they could do something completely different. Who knows? They could even do another area of Tokyo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking through that interview you sent me where they were talking about it's like, yeah, we needed Persona 4 to somehow exceed Persona 3, and then obviously Persona 5 had to exceed both of those. And I mean, in a way it did, because it got more... It really made Persona more mainstream than niche.
It's the game that made people hate Persona fans. I can understand
if this being daunting. It's like, how are we going to top... Like, the idea, like, a cool idea like the Phantom Thieves, it's like, how are we going to do that? Or are we just going to go back to everyone wearing their school uniforms in a dungeon? I could see people liking that. Or are they going to go in a way that's similar to the Phantom Thieves? But then it might be too similar, so it's like, I don't know, like, what they're planning on doing.
You gotta wonder, does that...
I wouldn't even know how to approach it. I'd be nervous.
You gotta wonder if that diminishes the value of, like, how unique Persona 5 was, if you were to do some sort of weird alternate version of Phantom Thieves again, where it's not Phantom Thieves, but they're superheroes this time around. You know what I mean? And they still all have, like, identities, because that's very unique to the Phantom Thieves. And to retread that, would that diminish it? Or would going back to just generic school uniforms be kind of boring in comparison? It's really hard to say.
I think it depends on how the story's told, because I feel like if the characters are interesting enough and the story, I guess it doesn't matter, like, you know, they don't need to be flashy, but I guess it depends on what they feel, I guess, the fans want, which is, I guess, something they consider.
Right. I think you make an interesting point, too, where you're like, does it need to be as flashy as Persona 5? And everything in my gut tells me Atlas believes they do have to be just as flashy, because Persona's always been fairly flashy, but Persona 5 took it to a whole other level, obviously.
I think they want to keep the quality of it, you know?
Right. Like
I think in mechanics, I feel like it's like, how do we build on it mechanic-wise, which is a good thing, like always trying to make it a better gaming experience for people.
Right. I kind of hope that they go in a much more unique direction with, like, how they stylize it. Like, I don't think there's any issue with them continuing that stylization of the UI.
Oh yeah, no,
everything.
It really stood out compared to other games back in 2017. I think that was a lot of the appeal of Persona 5.
Absolutely. It's kind of the hook, I think, for most people, is just the style. I mean, that's probably what got me interested. Because actually, what got me interested in Atlas was, it was before Persona 5, it was actually Catherine was the first game I had actually really seen from them. I didn't even know what Persona was, but I had seen Catherine, and I thought that had a really cool style. And I'd, like, watched an entire playthrough of Catherine, and I was like, man, I really like this style, and I like how the dialogue is much more down-to-earth, and it isn't kind of crazy. And Persona is not quite as down-to-earth as... Not that Catherine is a down-to-earth game, but, like, Persona is a little more wild with its typical interactions. But anyhow, I'm getting off topic. But the point is, I would like them to maybe try something a little bit different. A lot of people say, I want to see a Persona game with adults. Don't count on it. I highly doubt Atlas is interested in doing a Persona game about adults. But then again, I just talked about Catherine, so who knows? That could come back to bite me in the butt. I think there's so much to be said about Persona 6. Now, here's a question for you. I heard somebody saying today, I was listening to them, I think it was SMT Network, and he made an interesting point in terms of just, I guess, the opinion of some Persona fans that I never really thought about before. And he was saying, I really hope they don't drag us along waiting for Persona 6 to be announced, by autumn 2022, because then we have to waste all this time up until then. I just thought to myself, well, I would think you would save it for... Like, it wasn't even a question in my mind when I saw this. I was like, they're saving it for last. Like, there's no way they're opening this thing with Persona 6. At least that's what I think. Could. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there's a chance Persona 6 is the first announcement?
I mean, it could be, but from that one interview, which was not very long ago, it sounded like they are very early. I don't even know if they're, like, in-game engineering stuff. Like,
right.
They might have, like, some character designs down and, like, story ideas. I don't know if they have anything, like, a trailer to show. I highly doubt that.
Right. I mean, they're obviously teasing they will at some point have something to show in these announcements. But
I don't know. I don't know if it will be... I assume it'll be the last announcement. That's just how I feel. Just with how Atlus normally is with teasing. Because they'll do a teaser of a teaser. So I could see them being like, here's the teaser for Persona 6, and we don't even get gameplay then.
Yeah.
Or anything. Like, I'll just be like, here's a picture of some furniture or whatever the next joke name people come up with the protagonist.
Right, which is interesting
like, I don't know,
think...
basketball guy or something.
Which is interesting to think, because, like, basketball guy. But, because we're going to get an image, apparently, of the protagonist. Or maybe we will. I assume that's what this last slot is. If it isn't, then there's going to be a World of Pain that comes the day after their final announcement. But anyhow, it'll be interesting to see. But I do think that last slot will be for Persona 6. I mean, you may as well, if you already have that slot there and announced, you may as well wait to put P6 there, because that will string people along. Whether or not you agree with that practice, I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't have a problem with it, because I'm excited enough for all the other stuff that could get announced. That being said, I think we've talked about Persona 6 long enough. Let's talk about one other one that I actually genuinely think will be happening, and I've heard a lot of people not happy about this as a possibility, but I will stand my ground and say I do think this is still happening. Project Codename X, we talked about this. This was a weird mobile game that was shown off at like a Chinese mobile game showcase of some kind. It showed direct engine footage of Persona, of Shibuya from Persona. We could see specific places, including Untouchable, which was featured in it. And they told us that it was from a popular Japanese RPG series, blah, blah, blah. We had new art and everything that we even theorized could be Soejima artwork. I don't know for sure, but maybe. And everybody doesn't believe that it's actually Persona for some reason. I don't know why, considering there was some sort of insider who claims to have heard directly from them that it is Persona related. And I think the thing that threw people off is, oh, well, if it was Persona, they would have said it was. And that they say Codename X, it isn't the name. But they've said, I believe, that this is not the full name of the game. This is literally a code name. And they found Persona in the name on the images on the website. It was subsequently like taken down and everything, and everybody said, oh, Atlus probably got to them and made them change it, which I guess could be a possibility. But I do fully believe that this is a Persona game that is going to get announced. I mean, it makes way too much sense. How is Atlus not going to cash in on a Persona 5 mobile game at this point? I mean, they've done...
like its own mobile game.
Right, they've done 20 billion collaborations. Is it really that far of a possibility for this to be a Persona mobile game that has been outsourced to a Chinese company? Like, that, to me, it just makes total sense. I don't know why other people think that it's the craziest thing in the world and that it just can be a ripoff. Like, it has... Well, there are some people who don't even entertain the idea of it being a real Persona game. And it's... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. You continue.
I just think it's... I don't know. I think it's a little silly to act like it's not a possibility. Especially since we know...
I think it's possible.
Right. And we know we're going to get these announcements. And I think that this could be slotted into one of these slots very easily. and get the official title for it and everything. So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't mean to come down on people. But I don't know. It just really seems to me like we haven't heard anything of this game since. It seems like this is the perfect time for them to announce this game in one of these slots. So I think it's probably one of the slots. What do you think?
I think it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure, even if it's not that, I could see it just being, even if it's not that one specifically, I could see them being like, we made our own Persona mobile game.
Right. Yeah, even if it's,
entirely.
Yeah. I could be completely wrong. That's fine. Whatever. I don't really care at this point, because I think a P5 mobile game is inevitable, whether it's this or something else, so... and I actually like the look of this, so...
I think, like, there's definitely one of the announcements is going to be anniversary concert. Like, maybe they do something more in it. I don't know what they would do more. Mm-hmm. But...
Yeah, I mean, the anniversary concert, I think, if we're having all these announcements, then the concert will just be a concert. There probably won't be any announcements, obviously, within the concert, unless they tie it in with, I don't know, a specific announcement at the concert, and they mesh that into one slot. I don't know. So, we'll see. But sorry,
yeah,
did you have something else you were going to say?
I was just thinking, I was like, 7. Oh, you know how we were talking about the protagonist art? They were also showing all the covers of the mainline game?
Yes.
And there were 2 hidden slots there.
Which is really interesting that it's 2.
Yeah. Like, so one would be like, okay, probably Persona 6 if we're going off the protagonist thing. Mm-hmm. But then it'd be like, what's that one? Is it gonna be like a collection title, maybe?
Maybe. It's just interesting because it's all these mainline ones, right? And funny enough, they have the original P3, not P3 FES. That's missing.
Yeah,
but
they have portable.
Right, we have Persona 1's cover from the PSP, and then we have the Persona 2 games, P3 original, P3P, which I guess they probably featured because that one has FemC in it. Then you have P4 and P4 Golden, and then Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. So you can't have P6 and P6, whatever their re-release is. So
yeah.
Whatever this other one is, it's got to be something else. And it's only mainline games, which is what confuses me. Like you
so
said,
it wouldn't be like Arena
right.
in there.
Yeah, it's not going to be like, Strikers or whatever. Exactly. It makes it very confusing as to what it could be, unless it's, like you said, a collection. That could possibly be it, if it's like Persona 1, 2, and 2, as I like to call it. Mm-hmm. That's definitely a possibility, and it's like brand new art, which I think would probably have to be at this point.
I think that would get a lot of people excited,
Yeah.
And then a lot of people who didn't have access to those games could finally play them.
Right. I think there's 2 other possibilities. One could be, I think there's this broad general idea of if P3 gets a quote-unquote remake, because a lot of people will, they've synonymized, or I don't know what you say, how you say this word. They have put P3 Remake and Remaster as synonymous with one another. And they will say that, if it'll be like a beefed up remaster where basically you mix P3 and P3 Portable together and you add the FemC route, but you make the whole thing playable like regular Persona 3, rather than only having the visual novel aspects of the social life and then only having playable Tartarus. So that's what a lot of people think it could be, which I'm not going to deny is definitely a possibility. So you could have completely new art for something like that, a remaster, or the other possibility is a remake of a game. Whether it's Persona 1, 2, 3, 4, I doubt it's going to be 4. if they do a remake, it would have to be of 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
So what do you think we're already talking about remakes. What do you think the possibility of a remake in this lineup is?
I don't know, because if they're hinting at Persona 6, I don't know how possible a remake would be, because that's quite the endeavor, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To go through. I think it'd be more of a remaster sort of thing. I think I would prefer a remake, but I'd be okay with a remaster if you, like, edited some of the stuff. Like, in Persona 3, you can only really, like, you can't interact with, like, just not talking about portable, just base Persona 3. You can't do, like, social links like you can in the other games, like, hang out with, like, you can only date the girls. Like, that's really all it's there for, is, like, a romancing option. And then, like, the side character social links, but you didn't have anything for your, the other party members, so... If they, like, added that, that'd be kind of cool.
I also know that there's a lot of people who are vehemently against a Persona 3 remake for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because they mostly think it's pointless, or if they think it's more deservingly a P1 or P2 remake, which admittedly I can understand that like perspective.
Yeah, if any games probably needed a remake, it'd probably be those games.
Yeah, like, I'd be cool with a Persona 1 or 2 remake, in all honesty. I mean, do I think a remake is going to happen? If I'm being honest, no. I want to be wrong, don't get me wrong. Like, I'd really like to have a remake of one of those games get announced, and if maybe people disagree with me, that's fine. I just think it's... I don't get the hate against the idea of a remake so vehemently. Especially if they did it well, you know what I mean? Like, do we not trust Atlus to remake it? I don't know. It's weird how people treat Atlus. I don't know if we're ever in their good graces or not, because they'll praise Persona 5 Royal or Persona 5 or whatever it is, but then in the next breath they'll be like, oh, they better not touch this. And it's like, why though? Like, can we not give them a chance? Or then they'll be like, man, we really need more Persona 1 and 2 love. Yeah, or like, they always talk about we need more Persona 1 and 2 love, but then they're like, no, don't do Persona 3. That's a stupid idea. And it's like, well, then what kind of... I guess they just want remasters of those games, and that's fine. I've heard a lot of people think that most of these slots, and I do agree to a point, but I think it's really boring, is that most of these slots, let's be honest, could just be ports.
Yeah.
Which, if you get excited about that, that's cool. But to me, it's like, if I can play a game already, I'm more than willing to go out of my way to find the way to play that game. And I get it. Like, especially Persona 1 and 2, that's a tough thing to ask of people to go back and play this.
I think it's almost inevitable that we're going to get ports of those.
Yeah.
Like on Steam or something. I think that's gonna be pretty much guaranteed. I mean, it's the 25th anniversary. Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, you already have a port of Persona 1 that's sitting on your, what was that, PlayStation Special Edition or whatever that thing was, where this PlayStation Mini, what was it? It was basically like the NES and SNES Mini, and it had Persona 1 on it.
Yeah, it was like the PlayStation 1 something.
Right, you have all those games sitting on the PlayStation PS Vita store, PSP store, whatever it is. Why not do something with it, right? So yeah, those should definitely all get re-released. I think I would prefer a collection, simply for the fact that it would consolidate all of it, and we wouldn't have to wait a month or 2 months or however long it would be for another announcement of a port. You know what I mean? Because at that point it would be like, okay.
At least I would. I would be like, here's a collection.
Right. Because if like 3 of these slots are just ports, it's just going to be like, okay, what's the point of spacing all these announcements out? And it's going to kind of feel like, all right, just another port. Because I don't know. I just, personally, I don't get as excited about a game that is already playable. Even if it's more accessible, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to get as excited about that as, say, you know, a new game, or even, I think I'd be more excited about an anime, in all honesty. Because some people are like, oh, one of these slots could be for Persona 4 Golden on consoles. And I'm like, really? We're going to get a third announcement of a re-release of Persona 4? We had Golden on Vita, then Golden for Steam, and now they could do another announcement for console. And that's fine, that's cool, don't get me wrong, they should totally do it. But I don't necessarily think an announcement for that is going to be that exciting, considering it's completely playable on PC, and you don't need...
I mean, they did see how well Persona 4 did, because a few weeks ago they did a little art thing again, kind of like they did for Persona 5 whenever they made a certain number of sales.
Mm-hmm.
They did so with Persona 4 again, because they sold, like, I forget, like, 1 million copies or something like that. They sold a lot, is my point.
Yeah.
So I think they see that there is profit in ports, so I would not be surprised if they do, like, here's a port of Persona 3, and, like, maybe even, like, push them onto, like, the PlayStation Store, since Persona games are normally exclusive to PlayStation.
I think my worry is that, because here's the thing, if we're getting ports of all these games, right, that is announced, if they fill in individual slots, that would be like 4 slots filled up right away of just ports. And then potentially, because there's that weird listing that's still out there about Persona 5 Royal coming to Xbox. That could be a 5th slot, and then you only have 2 slots after that. So I swear, if like 5 of these announcements are just the individual ports, that would be very weird and kind of like disappointing to me. In the end, I guess all I care about is like, as long as we get 2 or 3 cool game announcements that are maybe new, but I don't think 5 slots are going to be ports. I think some of them will at least be consolidated. I would think Persona 1 and 2 and 2 will probably get a collection, maybe, and that could fill in a slot. And then maybe one of those slots could be Persona 3 Remastered, and then maybe another slot, I hate to say this, could be Persona 4 Golden for consoles. And then maybe another slot would be Persona 5 Royal on Xbox, and that's 4 slots, so that's still pretty bad. People would be happy, I guess. And I guess that leaves us with 3 other slots, but then you think, oh, Persona 3 Mobile. Oh, a concert. And then you're left with one which could be like Persona 6. To me, that's like, that would be worst case scenario. I mean, we'd still be getting Persona 6 announced, but I really don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't know. What do you think?
I guess it just depends, because also if they made like a ton of games, that'd be a lot for them to handle. But I could see, I think for sure Persona 6, I'm pretty confident about some sort of collection. I mean, I have no proof on it, but I could see it happening.
Right.
Because, I mean, most things normally do, like, a collection or something.
Yeah.
I do think that, and then, like, the mobile thing, maybe. And then maybe, like a port announcement. But they also said that, like, they said projects, so I don't know if we can count games on that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because that's the thing.
I feel like they were using, like, the term project for a reason.
Yes, I agree. You know what? What isn't present in this at all?
What?
The other forgotten Persona character. Everybody thinks FemC or Persona 1 protagonist or Maya or whoever is like the forgotten Persona protagonist. But what about Trinity Soul? Where is that Trinity Soul? Maybe they're making a Trinity Soul game and he will be the final.
You're right, and then they reveal him as the new protagonist.
Yeah, where's the love for Trinity Soul?
That's why...
Wasn't that technically canon? I mean, wasn't Akihiko in that?
No, it wasn't canon. It was from what I've read, that it was basically an alternate path, because Persona 4 made it not canon.
I see.
So it was supposed to take 10 years, like, take place 10 years after Persona 3. And they had this whole thing that, when you reach a certain age, you can't summon a persona anymore. So, like, Akihiko can no longer use a persona. So only, like, I guess, like, kids and teenagers can use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but obviously Persona 4 made that not happen because Adachi could use one, and, Persona 5 also had stuff where,
Spoilers!
Yeah, spoilers, sorry!
I'll bleep it out. I'll bleep out what you said.
I forgot.
Just in case nobody's finished those games.
So that was that whole thing, and I don't know. I don't know the entire plot, but I remember it was very odd, and so it's kind of just not canon, and no one ever acknowledges it anymore. That's why in our, the first episode of Goro and Ren in the lunchroom, I put a missing poster in the background.
That's right. I'd forgotten we put that in. Yeah. So let me ask you, what are your thoughts that this is spanning over a year instead of being like all one event? Does that make you happier, or is that disappointing?
Makes me happier because it's better than sitting in a drought for who knows how long and just kind of be like you're expecting an update every so often. Because it's been an anniversary year for a lot of game franchises.
Oh yeah.
Like Mario had his 35th. It's Sonic's 30th.
Zelda is having theirs. Danganronpa is having their 10th, or had their 10th.
Yeah, and they were... Danganronpa, they were doing a thing, like a video thing, like every few months or so, but because of the pandemic, they had to stop. So then they were kind of just quiet for a long time, and Sega, like, for Sonic, it's just been dead silent until they did that thing a few weeks ago.
Right. You've also got Metroid, which is getting their new game, and then I think you also have Resident Evil is having theirs, and there's more franchises for sure that are having big anniversaries. It's kind of mind-blowing how many of them
like were made around the same time.
Right. Yeah, and that this is an anniversary year for them on an odd year. So
that means in like the next 10 years it'll just be this all over again.
Right, exactly. Or even 5 years, because some of these will hit their 30th, and I don't know,
Oh my gosh, Mario will be 40 in 5 years.
25, like for some reason, like because the 20th anniversary we had like Persona come out, and I can't remember if there was anything else that was announced at the 20th. I don't even know if they had an event for the 20th, but I remember there was like all that
25
stuff.
25 always seems special to someone. I don't know why.
Right.
It's like everyone gets really excited about the 25th anniversary.
Right, and then the 30th, you're just kind of like, it's not as glorious.
That's kind of what Sonic did. Sonic was just like, yay, and then went silent again.
25 is just a good number. You know what I mean? It's 1/4 of 100. So there you go. Maybe that's the reason. But
I know, like how 15-year anniversaries are kind of just like looked over. I don't know why.
Yeah. Anyhow,
like 20 and 25 are big.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
And then when you hit 50.
Yeah, 50, and I'm sure 100. Will I be old enough to reach the 100th anniversary of Persona? Probably not.
No.
Unless I literally live to 100. Actually, I'd have to live to like 102. No, 101. I think to see.
You could possibly do it if
maybe
you were, like,
make it to the Persona's
extremely healthy.
Yeah, I'd have to get into good shape. Okay, we're getting a little bit off subject. Okay, let's talk about something else I haven't really heard many people talking about, and I think it's kind of interesting, considering we're analyzing every little bit of like this site. So
we're like deep diving, and we're like going off literally nothing.
So
like,
yeah,
worms off the floor.
Right, exactly. Atlas throws worms down for us, and we consume very willingly. Let's talk about this first announcement. So, first announcement is coming on the 9th. Sorry, the 9th. September of 2021. No specific day, which is a little confusing that we don't have a specific day as to when to. Maybe it's just the first of the month. I don't know, or it'll just drop on a random day. Maybe we'll get more information where it's going to be announced or what time. Anyhow, but this little graphic they have, it only has, like, because all the other ones are all grayed out, and they just have the question mark. But this one has the date, and it also has yellow in the background. Just yellow. Which, obviously, you know, when you're doing the 25th anniversary and everybody's being represented by a solid color, it makes you think that this first announcement is going to be, at least in my head, I could be overanalyzing this. Here's the thing. Maybe every single one of these will have that color in the background.
They seem to be going the TV theme, though.
Right. If I'm not... Yeah, you're right. There is a little bit of fuzziness and everything, but I think all of them have, like, the scan lines on them. So I don't know, maybe, but I think with the yellow color, it makes you think of a Persona 4 announcement, being the first, which is really interesting because there's a lot of...
Maybe people are right and it will be Persona 4 coming to Switch or something.
Right, yeah, you could start out with Persona 4 coming to Switch. You could do a Persona 4 arena port, or, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about. What do you think the other possibilities are? Is there a possibility that this is a new Persona 4 game?
That would, like, a Strikers?
That's the only thing I can think of, like, that makes sense.
That would be cool.
That would be really freaking cool, right? That follows maybe the cast as they're a little older.
Yeah, like, if they did more games like the Strike, like, if they wanted to do, like, think kind of like how Pokemon, like, there's the mainline Pokemon games, and then they have, like a spin-off of a spin-off. Like, they had, like, the Mystery Dungeon stuff, or even they're doing this Pokemon Legends thing. Like, what if they did, like, a Strikers formula, since I know they talked about how it was fun and they'd like to kind of maybe use it again, like do it for like the other casts of the other Persona games.
Yeah.
They did that for 4, that'd be really cool. I'd be interested in it.
Right. I mean, when I think about it, it is a little silly to think of, like, assuming you use the P5 Strikers engine, having the P4 cast jumping around on top of, like, you know, lamp posts and, like, posing and like
for the Phantom Thieves.
Right. Like that.
And it was like not as dorky, but now just imagine these guys running around in the school uniforms, like.
Right. I'm just imagining Yosuke just on top of a I keep saying goalpost. On top of a lamppost like Spider-Man, right? And just like posing there, or like Teddy like whipping around corners, and it's hard to imagine, but I still want it, as dumb as it might be.
I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be fun.
I mean, hey, they technically have the same abilities, and I think you could still make it work.
You'd have to definitely make it fit the characters. Like, obviously, it couldn't be, like, sort of stealthy, or at least not as stealthy as Persona 5 is. Right.
That's not really their motif. But if you were, like, going back into the TV world and running around in there, having cool, like, channels and everything, that could be a lot of fun. And imagine, because here's the thing, if you do Strikers, you're going to have an HD version of Inaba and of the house, and you'll be able to like walk around the, you know, full HD version of I guess everything that's there, and that would be really cool. I'd love to see a HD June S, like full HD, not PS2 graphics. That would be really weird. Will it happen? I don't know. It's probably the least likely thing of the other options, which was, what did we say? Persona 4 Golden coming to consoles, and Persona 4 Arena may be coming to modern platforms. So I don't know. And we don't even know if it necessarily has to do with Persona 4. We just see the yellow color.
I mean, we're just talking about our dream expectations at this point.
Right. Here's the thing. We are really putting our hearts out there and just putting crazy predictions out there. All the people who I was just talking about where I'm like, oh, these people want ports are kind of boring. Those people are probably right, and I'm probably wrong. They're being a lot more realistic than I am. I don't think there's been any indication that Atlas is planning on going back and doing anything with the P4, P3 cast. But I would love to be wrong. I will say it's more likely now that Golden's come out and people have played it on Steam. I do think that makes it a more likely candidate than something like P3 getting like a Strikers entry.
That's true. I think because and it's funny because for a lot of people, Persona 3 is their favorite, but I feel like Persona 4, like gameplay-wise, and just like was closer to Persona 5, which is probably why they're like, well, let's port Persona 4 Golden first. Mm-hmm. And it did really well.
Right.
And so now people know the characters better again, like the new fans who are probably just got into it. So they would be like, well, maybe we can do another game with them.
Yeah.
Like, we're not done milking Persona 4.
Yeah. We're going back to that old cow. I don't know. I have such a hard time gauging the Persona community because I feel like there's one side that's a little crazier than the other. And there's a lot of people who want to be very realistic, and there's another side of people who, you know, they want to be very ideal. And I tend to sympathize a lot with the people who want the crazier stuff because it speaks to my heart and I want to be that. But at the same time, there's this whole logical side to the other side of people who want to be more realistic and say, you know, don't get too excited. We might get 2 games out of this whole thing, maybe even just 1 that's brand new. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy. So I would just say, like, we've all got to temper our expectations. It doesn't mean you can't get, like, excited about a potential announcement. And it's not like you shouldn't theorize. And, like, I think everybody should speculate and get excited about whatever it is that they want to get.
I don't think there's any harm in us coming up with theories as long as we know it's, like, there's no evidence for this.
Right, that's the thing. I think pretty much everything we've said, aside from maybe P3 coming to Steam, since somebody found like P3P evidence coming to Steam, and also there was that P5 Royal coming to Xbox, like rating or something that happened. That seems like that will happen too, but that would be very weird if that was a part of this, but who knows.
I guess it all depends on how this first announcement will go in September, and I think we'll have a better idea of what we're going to be expecting, like what these future announcements would be. Like if it's all like, here's a port of Persona 3 Portable, or here's like what you said, Persona 5 on Xbox, and that's like the only announcement. Like if they don't do like a couple, I guess each time like there could be more to them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how they plan to release it, if it's just going to be, like, a Twitter post, if it's going to be, like, a video thing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. We don't really know the context of if these announcements are just going to drop randomly like this did. That's possible. I would prefer if they did, like, some sort of stream where we could actually tune in and watch.
I mean, they could. They did, when Royal was coming out, they did, like, little Morgana episodes.
Right.
Where we kind of talked about the game. So if they did something like that again, and before then, they did the same thing, I think, with Persona 4.
They did it with, like, Teddy. I think. I will say there is hope that we get a lot of new game announcements because of... How many years ago was this? This was back in like 2013?
We'll at least get ports, I think.
Right, we'll definitely get ports. But I think back in 2013 or 2013 I think it was, they announced in one event, they announced Persona Q, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Then they announced Persona 4 Dancing. And then they also announced Persona 5. And that was all in the same showcase. And that was back when...
That's insane.
Right, that was before they did anything crazy big like Persona 5. I mean, Persona 4 was their cash cow at that point. Or, sorry, Persona 4. Did I say Persona 4? Anyhow, regardless.
I think you did, yeah.
That was their cash cow back then, and they went all out for something like that. So, if they went out for something like that back then, it really makes you wonder what they'll go out with this. Now that you have such a large audience. It also makes you wonder, how many games could they possibly be developing, though? I mean, they're one studio. Technically, if they're doing something with another studio like Koei Tecmo, they could be outsourcing it. Arc System Works, obviously, they could be doing some work if they're doing
Yeah, and then
Arena.
they would just be, like, supervising, really.
Right.
Like, they wouldn't be in the development part. They'd just be, like, keeping tabs on it,
right.
really.
You've got this mobile game, which supposedly would be developed by this Chinese company, assuming that's even a Persona game.
And then you think, like, if they're working on Persona 6, then...
Right, which would be P Studios.
Unless,
like,
I don't know,
game.
does Atlas have 2 teams?
Atlas has,
they have, like,
Atlas
an
has
A team and a
3
B
teams.
team?
So Atlas has their team that's primarily focused on SMT. Obviously, they're working on SMT. And then you have P Studio, which is the Persona studio, specifically works on Persona games. And then you have Studio Zero, who is working on Project 3 Fantasy, and I think also did the remaster of Catherine. So it's not to say that maybe Studio Zero could pick up some of the work on maybe some of these re-releases of ports. That could be possible. Maybe.
Yeah, who did port of Golden? Was that P Studio themselves,
I believe so.
or did they get someone else to do it?
I believe that was just P Studio who did that. And they did Royal, obviously. So I think they probably have maybe 1, max 2 big projects that P Studio is directly working on. Makes you wonder if they've just been working on Persona 6 since Royal and Strikers came out, or if there's been something else kind of that they've been working on in the background along with P6. It's hard to say. I can't say I know it all. There's nothing really indicating that we'd be getting anything other than like P6 as the brand new game from P Studio. I think you're right. We're probably getting some ports and collections, and then if we're getting any side games, they're probably being co-developed on with other companies. That's been the pattern we've seen thus far, because PQ... I know P Studio worked on it, but I also believe the Etrian Odyssey team worked on that game or developed it or something. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case with that game too. So, man, what's the chances of a PQ3 for no reason whatsoever?
I don't know. PQ2 did not do very well.
Yeah, I'd have.
But I think that was mostly because it was the very end of the 3DS's lifespan. I think that was like, it was, if not the last, it was very close to the very last game released on the 3DS.
Yeah.
And the Switch was out, and I think people were way more interested in that and not really paying attention to the 3DS anymore.
Right. Even Persona fans like me, I never even played PQ2, so... chances are very slim we get something, unless they port it to Switch maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
They could do that, I guess. I think if they made like another Persona Q on Switch, that might sell well, because then like it could be like the graphics could be a bit better, and I feel the chibi style would work well on the Switch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I will say Atlas, I think, has been very smart about how they're spacing out these. I think, because we were just talking about this, where like, Do you think that the Persona anniversary is going to totally overshadow SMT5's release?
Yeah, we were talking about how they probably wouldn't want to do that.
And I think the way they're doing it is smart because, you know, they're spacing out all the announcements. So it's not like we're getting one giant wave of news that could totally overshadow it. We'll get like an announcement in September, and then assuming, because they said this is going to go over 12 months, and it's going to be 7 announcements. So that's roughly, I mean, assuming they're all equally spaced out. We don't know if that's the case. Could totally not be. But if they're all spaced out, then that would be about roughly 2 months between each announcement. And if they started in September, we'd get one announcement then, and then the next announcement wouldn't come out until the month that SMT5 releases. So I think that's a good strategy not to like completely overshadow SMT5. And SMT got, you know, E3 to shine at, and November it'll come out. It'll be a big success, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to wonder about Project Refantasy, because that's probably going to get announced this year as well. I think all eyes for that potentially getting revealed at Tokyo Game Show. That seems to be where that will probably happen, if I had to guess. And I'm very curious if that announcement is even going to make much of a splash when it finally happens. Even though it should for any Persona fan, considering it's basically the main 3 who have propelled the last few Persona games forward, because it's Soejima doing the art, Hashino's directing, and then you've got Shoji Meguro doing the music. So that's going to be, I would imagine, an announcement that they would hope hits pretty hard. But being a new IP and all, it's hard to gauge, considering I don't think 70% of Persona fans even know that game exists. So we will see. Some people don't think it's even going to get announced this year, but I remain to believe it will, considering they've claimed it will happen this year. So that'll be interesting too. So I'm just interested to see how they balance all of these announcements. For sure, this will probably be Atlus's biggest year in terms of announcements ever. I can't think of many other years that will compete when you have an SMT game announcement, Persona 5 Strikers, and that like came out at the beginning of the year for the West. You'll have Project Refantasy being announced, plus some other Persona announcements coming out this year. Like, this will be a huge year for them. Obviously, we won't really see the full benefits of this probably until next year, when sales and everything really start coming in for whatever games come out. Because I'm assuming some of these games will come out next year. Anyhow, do you have any other...
Yeah, because when they announced the Persona 4 Golden port, didn't it like come out like the next week or something?
I think so. Yeah, I think there was probably a week.
It came out really soon after.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it may have even come out the day of.
Yeah, it might have come out the day of. I'd have to check.
I feel like it came out like really quick, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was not a long wait. So if they announced ports, unless it's like a collection or something, like I would expect it's like, okay, it's on Steam like right now, or
right,
at least soon.
Right. Maybe with console releases, it might take a little longer. I will say, if there's a physical release of P4 Golden for Switch, that might be cool. I'd probably pick that up. I have my Vita, obviously, and I still haven't bought it on Steam. But having a physical copy for Switch might be kind of cool. Regardless, it'll be exciting to see what happens. Do you have any final thoughts before we close this discussion out?
I think we've covered them pretty well.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in seeing more, you can always go to the website. Just look up Persona 25th Anniversary. I think Persona Central did a pretty good little write-up on everything that is there, because I think it's all in Japanese on the official website. So you might get a better translation than your like browser's translation if you just go to Persona Central. And you guys theorize and speculate whatever you guys want. I mean, nothing is off the table. Don't let anything I may have said discourage you from wanting whatever it is you want. Everybody should be able to get whatever they want. So let's see what Atlas has in store for us. I don't know if we'll really be talking much about the 25th anniversary until September comes around. So it's weird to finally have
something extra before then.
Yeah, unless there's some weird thing. There's also merchandise, some new merchandise, if you guys are interested in seeing some of that on the website. So we'll see what happens. But I guess until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all those who have subscribed. And I know I say this all the time, but I promise we're working on stuff behind the scenes. I know there's a lot of people who just like our goofy animated content. I apologize that it's taken so long to get to Goro and Ren episode 2.
We are working on it, and we're pretty happy with it so far. We have ideas for...
Yeah, we've been working on it. We've got stuff. So there have been a lot of things that have slowed production down. I've told people I'm in school and work, and luckily I should be getting to a point in time where I'll have a lot more time to devote to this. So...
Yeah, I just got done with the surgery 2 weeks ago, so I was getting ready for that, but I'm good now.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for supporting us, and I'm glad I was able to put out a second video this week. It feels nice to finally be getting back into things. So thank you guys, and we will talk to you soon.